Here's an AMI This Week shortcut with Laura Bain.
The sawdust is flying at chainsaw carver Rob Milner's outdoor studio in Brooklyn, Nova Scotia. Rob is quickly transforming a wooden log into a bear standing up on its hind feet.
The first step of carving is finding a log that suits your design, and then what we call blocking, so you rough it out into a basic shape. And then you detail in different levels. So you might blocking might just be where you find an arm, but detailing, you're putting the fur on the arm. But for further detailing, you're adding claws. So you have different tools for different steps to kind of refine it or not. I use mostly chainsaw, 90 to 95% chainsaw whenever I carve a log. But I use power tools. Occasionally, I've only recently started using tools that spin. I'm normally a chainsaw and chisel, and that's it.
Nature is a big inspiration for Rob's work. Friendly-looking bears come in every shape and size. Eagles and owls perch majestically. Some carvings are realistic, while others, like this giant ice cream cone, come from Rob's imagination. A few are painted or torched with fire, but most are stained to show the natural wood.
Okay, Laura, this is a turtle I'm working on, a fairly complex piece, one part of a larger sculpture. This is a full-size leatherback turtle. The largest turtle in the world is a leatherback.
This feels huge. So how big is it?
It's 6.5 feet long,
Wow.
8 feet wide.
What gave you the idea to make this giant turtle?
Turtles are at risk. The wildlife's at risk everywhere, and I love turtles.
Rob's turtle is amazing in size and detail. I can feel the ridges on its shell and the grooves of its huge flippers.
It has a massive head.
Yes.
And it's got its mouth open, and it feels like ridges inside of its mouth.
That's correct. The tongue at the front and the bottom. You should feel the tongue too.
Rob shows me more of his work, including a bear who's almost as tall as I am and holding a welcome sign.
Most bears, I try to make them look benevolent, because bears are not traditionally kind of angry creatures. I like to add a lot of lines for directional furring, so you get a flow, and different textures on the head, and the nose is smooth.
Rob discovered his passion for the art 6 years ago after seeing some carvings.
I had a chainsaw, an angle grinder, and I saw a YouTube video of a guy making a milking stool with the chainsaw. And I thought, well, I can try that. So I made that, made a whole bunch. And then I saw one flipped over with his legs up, and it looked like a turtle with his legs in the air. So I made a turtle and kind of started it. And it kind of started waking my brain up as a carver, because I couldn't stop thinking about it.
Rob has several health challenges, including ankylosing spondylitis, a form of arthritis that affects the spine.
Carving is very therapeutic physically by getting you active. If you have arthritis, the worst thing you can do is nothing. So you got to keep moving. But it also is when my pain goes away is when I'm carving. I don't feel anything. I'm at that point, I'm in a different place. So it's very good for your mental health. It gives you an escape from pain without drugs or narcotics. It's helped me in a lot of ways. So when I'm carving, all that pain goes away and my mind stops racing. That's when I'm free, when I'm truly the freest I ever feel, when I'm carving. It's just bliss, just absolute bliss.
It was Rob's doctor who suggested he pursue chainsaw carving as a living.
My physician challenged me because I'd gone through homelessness and a lot of hardships and welfare and our income assistance. My physician decided to challenge me, to push me outside of my comfort zone, and asked me, he says, why don't you just try and sit on the side of the road and carve? And I said, all right, I'll try it. And I sat down and started carving. Within a few days, I had enough money for my rent, for my insurance, so I was no longer homeless. I was no longer foodless, and I had gas and insurance. Within a week, I had everything I needed. So at that point, I knew I was onto something.
Rob is also legally blind in one eye, which makes working on three-dimensional carvings using chainsaws an unlikely choice, but he's developed his own adapted style.
For me to triangulate and figure out where things are, I tend to do a lot of this. You see me bobbing my head from left to right, kind of figuring out where it's really supposed to be in space. But I've had to cope and learn to work with what I've got, and using references and measuring occasionally to figure out where they belong. But it really comes from intuitively kind of bobbing my head back and forth to figure out where something belongs.
I love how tactile the carvings are and the smells of the wood they're made from. If you're interested in Rob's work, you can find him on Facebook at Eternity Chainsaw Carvings.